everyone. Welcome to the show. We have another great edition of Bring It in the House podcast show where we spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. Get your meal. And I'm so excited about the meal we have for you tonight. Legendary R&B singer, and now, of course, she's working in the area of gospel. Let's give it up for the beautiful Stacy Lattisaw Jackson. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're just so excited to have you here, Stacy. You look amazing. Thank you.
You as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we like to start the show off, letting you tell us where you're from originally and what's your alma mater.
Well, I am from Washington, D.C., actually Southeast D.C., born and raised. And I went to school in D.C., and later I was homeschooled and booked it into.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because you started recording when you were just 12 years old, right?
I was a little girl. I started singing around the house when I was 6 years old, and then I started
Mhm.
professionally at 9 years old. I recorded my first album at 12.
At 12. Wow, what an amazing story. So, what was your first memory, of stepping into the studio? What was that like?
Actually, you know, I was a little, and just the very fact of stepping into the studio was just huge to me. Because I was just I was always a quiet, timid little girl. You know,
Mhm, mhm,
I was okay with singing in the house, but it came to doing studio work, and the next thing you know, I was on the stage performing. So yeah, I was very, very quiet and reserved. So it took me a while to kind of get used to, you know, the hustle and bustle of the entertainment industry, and being a child star, even itself was very taxing for me, to be honest with you.
I can imagine. I can imagine because you probably didn't get to play as much like other kids, right?
Not at all. I really didn't have a normal childhood, so I can
Mhm.
relate to what Michael Jackson, you know, I was fortunate to be able to open for the Jacksons when I was 14. And so by the time Let Me Be Your Angel was released, that was actually my second album. My first album, a lot of people didn't know about because it didn't do very well. Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, I was homeschooled, and like I said, I went to my prom, and so I missed out on a lot, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Aw. But we loved your music though. I can remember. I believe in 1980. That's when your single "Let Me Be Your Angel" like went number one, right, on the
Yeah,
music on the R&B U.S. R&B charts. And
right.
so yeah, and I remember your other songs too, "Jump to the Beat" and "Dynamite," and you did a song with Johnny Gill too, right? Perfect Combination.
Went to school together here in DC, and we used to have. Uh, I used to have talent shows in my basement. And like I said, he lived right around the corner from where we stayed in Washington D.C. And I never knew that he could sing. And so, like I said, it was just something that I love to do. I had friends that sang. I had friends that danced. I had this one friend that wanted to be an actor, and so we would all get together, like I said, after school in my basement, and we'd have these. And so, um,
You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit, Stacy. Say that part again. Can you
I said,
repeat that?
at this particular time when we had the talent show, Johnny Gill was over the house, and I didn't know at the time he could sing, So when he said he wanted to be in the talent show, I was like, "So what do you want to do?" So that's when he told me that he had a song he wanted to sing, and oh my gosh, I his voice was amazing.
Y'all had a good blend, a really nice blend together on that duet. Man, we were in high school. We was like, "Wow, this is amazing, man." We just didn't know what to do with ourselves when we first heard you because we knew you guys were young like us. So that's what made it so exciting, man. So I was going to ask you, what was it like being a teen star in the 80s on the R&B scene, and how did you balance school and all of that with your music career? But you just said you were homeschooled, right? You,
Yeah, which I absolutely, oh my gosh, I so didn't like that. But it was something that I had to do, because I wasn't really, um, I wasn't able to focus well in school because the kids were starting to, pick on me. My song starting to be played on the radio. So I had to tell, in school. So my mother was like, "I think that's and that's when I finished, my schooling there. And absolutely. But anyway,
yeah, I know. There was a lot of pressure. I'm sure you probably experienced some, maybe like bullying a little bit or whatever.
I did. Yes, indeed, I did. And kids can be so cruel.
Mhm.
Kids can be so cruel. And because I was quiet and always reserved, I was just a very shy girl, and sometimes people tend to take that the wrong way just because you're quiet. I was called a lot of names in school, white girl, red girl, yellow girl, conceited girl, and but anyway, yeah, that's how it is. When success arrives, a lot of times, you know, you have to really be grounded, I'll say,
Mhm.
and in order to handle it, and not being swayed toward, because it's so many different influences out there in the industry.
Mhm.
And I truly believe that because I have very good
Yeah, good foundation.
that kind of out of and some things that I could have gotten involved in. And
Mhm.
yep,
Yeah, that foundation, that's so important. You got good parents to lay that foundation to help you stay grounded. That is really amazing because you could have just easily rebelled or just acted out, or either become what they wanted you, to become, those bullies. Yeah. So I thank God you stayed grounded. Yeah. So who were some of your biggest musical influences, and how did they shape your style?
oh my gosh, I used to love Natalie Cole. Yes, indeed, I love Natalie Cole. And I used to love, who else was it back then? I listened to Gladys Knight. Um, I would say Debbie Boone. I actually sang. That's how I got my record deal. I sang "You Lighted My Life" by Debbie Boone. Remember that song is a big pop record. So yeah, that's how I went to New York and I sang that song for the president of the label. And I was 12, and so that song was the one that got me that deal over at Atlantic Records. But yeah, Debbie. I later met Sister Sledge. I was always a fan of theirs, and Kathy Sledge's. She and I are cool. We keep in touch. But yeah, those were pretty much my main influences back then. Yeah.
And all of those that you name, I love them. I love Sister Sledge, the greatest dancer. We are family. Lost in Music, all those songs. I love Sister Sledge, and I love Debbie Boone. I had a classmate. I don't know if she's watching right now. Renee Kirkley in high school. I think she used to, in a talent show. I think she was singing that or wanted to sing that. But yeah, that was just really good times in the '80s. So you came at a great time.
That's when music was. Back then, music was great. Music was like the love songs were about staying together and working things out and It was just music was just so well put together, you know, and it's just not the same anymore. Even when you listen to some of the R&B music that's on the radio today, it's changed so much. One of the things I remember that really, really kind of disturbed me a few years ago. I'm a big fan of Music Soul Child, right? And because at the time I was following him on Twitter, he was following me, and he said that because of the direction, and I don't mean to go off the topic here, but he was saying that because of the direction that R&B music was going in, that he was going to start rapping. And I was like, are you kidding me? So that's what he started doing. But that's amazing. It just goes to show how rap music just kind of took over during a time when we were, people like the late great Tina Marie and who else? Stephanie Mills and um, around that time, Whitney Houston and I came out around the same time. And that's when, like I said, around the late 80s, that's when the rap music was just like so much of it on the radio, where they kind of, our songs, we were like songsters. We sang, you know. And so after, like I said, I mean, repeat myself, but after the hip hop stuff started becoming, I guess more popular, that's when our music was like pushed aside, unfortunately. But that's really what happened.
Yes, yes. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, of course, this is legendary R&B singer, Miss Stacey Lattisaw Jackson. And we're going to take a little snippet to her song that everybody loves and they've been wanting to hear, Let Me Be Your Angel. I'm going to let you introduce your song, Stacey.
This is my song, Let Me Be Your Angel.
This is the song everybody loves.
Look at me. I have fallen so in love with you. Please don't leave. Stay around. Let me tell you all the things I feel. Won't you please? Let me be your angel. Let me be the one for you.
Unfortunately, I can't hear it.
Now you can hear it. Oh, wow, man, I was going in. Woo! Man, your vocals, oh my gosh. Out of this world. Girl.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
like yeah, you were and still are a songstress. Oh my gosh.
That's where it's at. It's just something about ballads. I just love slow music. I always have, you know.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
my
I'm,
favorite
I guess I'm a romanticist.
too. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Luther Vandross and the groups, the OJs. Oh my gosh, all that, girl. You talk about real music, and it's amazing because music like that, when you listen to it still today, we're talking about music like 38, 40 years ago, and it still has that same impact on you. Be like, wow, this sure sounds good. Yeah, that's that type of music that it never gets old.
They used to call it, because I'm a radio personality back in the day, and our program director, rest in peace, Bobby OJ, he used to say the feel good music.
I I agree. Because it's amazing because actually I think that that's what happens when we hear music is a powerful tool first and foremost. So when we hear those type of songs, it almost kind of takes you to a place. It really, really does. Hmm.
I definitely agree. It moves you, it takes you. It's almost like a soundtrack of your life, and
So,
it kind of takes you back to wherever you were. If it's an older song, it kind of takes you back to that moment. So
so true.
So we had some viewers to tune in. Thank you so much, Flowmaster. He said, "I'm all up in your show." He's enjoying it, and we really thank you for tuning in with us. Now, Stacy, you worked with some of the best producers back in the day, including super producer Narda Michael Walden. Woo! And hits like you did the Love on a Two-Way Street, and we talked about Perfect Combination. So, what was your experience like working with Narda Michael Walden and some of the other great producers?
Actually, it's quite interesting because I don't think a lot of people know this, the story behind this either. Okay, so back in the day, I would say the late 70s. Yeah, because Nard is like 72, something like this. I think Nard is 70, 71, something like that. But anyway, he was a drummer. Okay. So when I signed to Atlantic Records, Henry Allen was the president of the label, right? And Henry was like, he tried to find the right songs that were age appropriate, and because I was only 12 years old, he wanted to make sure that the songs weren't, like I said, that the songs fit my voice and everything. So he, some kind of way, he met Narda. Like I said, Narda was in this band, and he was and he still is an outstanding drummer. So he was like, well, how about I write some songs for Stacy? So Henry was like, sure, send me some material. So he sent the material to Henry. And next thing you know, Narda came to my home in Washington, D.C. And my mother at the time, she had a little small piano, in our home. And Narda was writing Let Me Be Your Angel in our living room. Yep, he kind of put a little bit of it together, but prior to him, getting there. But we worked on Living Your Angel right there in our home, and he began to piece it together. But that song was the first song that Narda wrote. This was before Whitney Houston. This was before Aretha Franklin. So my album was the very first one that did it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, it took his career to the next level, and it stamped that approval to be a hit maker, so to speak.
Yes, indeed. And he went on to work with lots of very famous. What's a pop? What's the name of the group? He just worked. Yeah, just a number of different people. He's a very nice person as well. Narda, he really really is. He's a gentleman, and quite honestly speaking, I work with a lot of different producers, but Narda was my favorite, and he still is because he was, and he's so down to earth and humble. That's the thing that gets me, is that sometimes success can change a person, but it never changed Narda. He remained that, humble person. And I think that's what continues to, I don't know, he just always has a special place in my heart.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love those type of stories. That's great. So then you went from okay after you sang for a while, and then you kind of we lost you for a minute. We didn't see you, and now you're on the gospel side. So kind of explain to us how that transition came about from R&B to gospel.
To be honest with you, I suffered with bouts of depression for a long time. And I really should have gotten some help for it. And my mother knew that I wasn't happy. But my mother, I think because my mother was a singer and she sang with Marvin Gaye, they went to school together. And she never really, had the opportunity to get her career off the ground the way in which she wanted to. So I think she wanted to kind of live that dream through me. And but I never really wanted to sing professionally. I was okay with singing at home, but I never wanted to get on nobody's stage and travel and do all the other things that came along with it. Um, but yeah, that was an interesting time for me. But I don't know. People ask me a lot of times, do you have any regrets? My regret would be I wish that they had started my career when I was maybe 16 or 17. Because, like I said, I don't think I was prepared. That's the word. That's what I'm getting at. I was not prepared for, you know, the stage and all the other stuff. And I think that, when you see some of my videos, you could probably tell I really wasn't happy. You know, I was dealing with depression silently. And I think a lot of times people, in some cases, they that's why they start to, start to drink or start to use drugs because like I said, I just was never, I was happy off and on. And I didn't really know what my purpose was. So I just began to pray a lot, you know. And I used to always feel like that there was something missing in my life. And I never knew what that thing was. And I've always loved to shop and I've always liked nice things. And I used to try to fill the void because I had a void I never understood, right? I used to try to fill the void with more materialistic things, right? And the more I did that, the more emptier I became. So I began to pray more. I began to seek God and go to church. And I said, you know what? I felt like I was tapping into what I was looking for. And I'll never forget one night, I turned everything off. I turned the TV off. I turned the lights off. But I just quietly prayed and I said, God, I have money. I have success. I have fame. I know famous people, but I don't really know you, you know? And I felt a presence come over me that I never felt before in my life. And that's when the depression left me. I'll never forget that. And that's when I began to, what I experienced at that moment, I wanted more of it. And like I said, I just chased after God. I ran after God. And that's when I truly believe that I know now for sure that everything that I had been searching for, you know, it just, none of it worked for me. The money, the fame, the emptiness was still there. The depression was still there. And so when I gave my life to the Lord, that's when I, like I said, I became an evangelist and I use my platform now to help women, to help to empower women, and to let people know that the same God that rescued me from depression, He's the same God that can do it for you. There are a lot of women that I've come across that call my office, and and I tell them all the time, if you're not happy with who you are, this is just my opinion. I truly believe that we were all created with a void in us that only God can fill. And many times we try to fill that void with a person, a place, or a thing. But we were created to have a relationship with God. And you know, specifically, I remember just a bit of I don't want to go off subject here, but there was a young lady that called me not long ago, and she said to me that she was in an abusive relationship, and so I just listened to her for a while, and she said that. So I said to her, I said, I asked her this. I said, so let me ask you a question. Why do you think you're still in this relationship? And you know what her reply was? Because she didn't want to be alone, and I experienced that too. I was in an abusive relationship, and it wasn't until I began to realize my value and my worth, and I was like, you know what, this is not going to work. And that's what happens when, sometimes women, they settle and they think that they, you know, anyway, yeah, I can go on and on and on because
Yeah.
I love to try to, well, this is just who I am. I love to, share my story of some of the things that I went through and endured, to let people know that you don't have to stay that way. Your situation can change. God can change it. God can change you, you know. So, but yeah, that depression that I dealt with, it was so bad for me that I literally would not stayed up. I
Mm,
kept the bedroom dark. Mm,
mm.
yep.
And look at you now. You're a minister to women and you run Believers Building Bridges.
Bless
Love Yes. How did you come up with that idea for the company? How did that idea for the company come to you, should I ask?
gave me that. I truly believe God gave me that. God gave me that vision because Believers Building Bridges is designed to help women and people of all walks of life to walk across the bridge and to make divine connections. So that's what my company is designed to do. I also mentor children, ages 12 through 18. I teach voice lessons, as well. So everything that I do is up underneath of my company's umbrella. Mhm. I also have a women's organization, Safe Haven, and we kind of broke away from it for a while during COVID. But yeah, and that's it's not really a churchy type of thing. I try to make it so where women can come and feel welcome and loved. You know, there are a lot of women that are broken, and those are the women that I try to reach. Mhm. So all of this is underneath of the umbrella of Believers Building Bridges.
Awesome. And regarding your legacy, what advice would you give to a young R&B artist today? If they're trying to get into your lane, what would that be?
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Let me see here. First and foremost, music industry is tough, and you have to have thick skin. That's something my father used to say to me. He said to me a few times before God rest his soul. I just lost my dad a year and a half ago. Um, so it's still a very, very tender place for me. He
Sorry.
They say you have to have thicker skin, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I realize it now that you do have to have thick skin because the music industry is full of a lot of crooks. It's full of a whole bunch of what they call snakes, in the grass. And when I say that, I mean this. First and foremost, if you don't have a entertainment attorney, you can't just have a regular attorney. You have to have an entertainment attorney. And if you don't, they're going to most likely take advantage of you. Never sign a contract, okay? I don't care how much money they're offering you, because if you don't have the entertainment attorney to look it over, they just because it happened to me. It happened to me, unfortunately. The management company I was with stole a lot of my money. So yeah, you have to have the right people in your circle, people that you trust, people that that they're gonna do right by you. Because I didn't have, I would say even though I had a very good foundation, I didn't have a lot of people that knew the entertainment industry, do's and don'ts. And so that's why I said before, it's important to have the right circle of people around you. And
Yeah.
breaking is not easy either. A lot of people think that it's easy, but it's not. A lot of times you do have to know certain people that know people, but at the end of the day, your talent speaks for yourself. And this is something I want to say to the listeners, the aspiring singers, especially ladies. Keep your clothes on. Keep your clothes on because If you are a talented singer, actor, you know, your integrity, you want your character and your legacy to speak for you in such a way when the people say your name, what is the first thing they're going to think about? What is the first thing they're going to think about? Are they going to remember you half naked? You know, and at the end of the day, I don't care who sees this, who hears this, because it's the truth. And a lot of people don't talk about. I think Shaka Khan not long ago talked about, you know, and she expressed her concern about young ladies in the industry that were on the stage that are half dressed. And I think that at the end of the day, a lot of young ladies see these women on the stage and they look up to them, you know. And I don't care. Like I said before, I know a lot of people may not agree with what I'm saying, but it's real talk, and it's something that our people, we need to address it. You know, keep your clothes on. You're pretty. You're talented. You're gifted. The Bible says your gift will make room for you. You want people to respect. People are not going to really respect you if you don't conduct yourself like a lady.
Amen. Amen. Wow, time really went fast, Stacy. I can't believe it's a time to go. But we really enjoyed you. I just want to check in with a few of the viewers. Beverly, thank you so much for tuning in. Beverly Graves, that's one of my classmates. She said, "What an amazing story and testimony." She said she loved you growing up. And thank you again, Flowmaster, for checking in, and everyone who tuned in. I want to also just mention that the actor Michael Wright. We want to say, our condolences to the family of actor Michael Wright. I don't know if a lot of you remember him, but he was he's best known for his role Eddie Kane Jr. in the Five Heartbeats. So we wanted to mention that as well. Stacy, we can't thank you enough for stopping by. You've been amazing. And guys, we thank you all for tuning in right here. Stacy, was there anything else you want to say really quickly before we go?
I think I have.
You think you've said enough, huh? Well, we love you again, and thank you so much for stopping by and bringing in the house.